Welcome back from the world of dreams, and I welcome you to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Zeztz, Episode 2. Guys, we have entered into X-Files territory. And the episode as a whole, guys, it's all about what the nightmare monsters can do, where they come from, and also, Baku learning how these capsule balls works, and in general, what dreams are. And there is a question in the episode where Baku asks, do humans, have the same dreams sometimes? And we learn that it's impossible to have the same dreams. But in any case, we have not two new characters, but two characters who will have new nicknames. So if any of you guys hear me say, different names, that's their new nicknames from now on. So without further ado, let us begin our tale of dreams with Nox. Nox has released a new nightmare, and we see it enter 3 doors. That look like, Carbonite doors from Star Wars. So yes, so Nox released a nightmare, and we see 3 doors leading to God knows where. Maybe to someone's dreams. Who knows? But I believe that the 3 doors represents people's dreams. So, in any case, speaking of dreams, we have the Dream Warrior, the Dream Master, Baku, and he is in his Agent 7th, attire. And for some reason, he is being chased by Tetsuya and some cops. Why, you may ask? I don't know. Even he doesn't know, because he's become a wanted man in his dreams. And he doesn't know why. And then he stumbles across his love of his life, Nem. And he assumes that Nem is there to be rescued once again. But unfortunately for Baku, he gets arrested by her. Why, you may ask? Well, she is a cop for a day. And then the nightmare monster makes an explosive entrance. And, Baku's like, okay, so I have to destroy the monster, right? And he tries to do the henshin, of course. But this is where we get a funny scene. As he was trying to transform, you could still see that he's still handcuffed. And Baku is like trying his best to transform, but he turns to look at Nem like, can you please uncuff me? I have to defeat this monster, please. And Nem is doubling, tripling down, like, no, you're not getting away. You're handcuffed to me, and I have to take you to the station for questioning. But all that funny haha stuff gets interrupted by, the bomber nightmare. And you see Baku accidentally use his one and only capsule ball, and it saved his life because it activated one of its special abilities and whatnot. And then he transforms into Zeztz. We have a brief fight between the two, which causes the nightmare to make a brief retreat. It went back to one of its doors. You see the cop cars explode, and that's it. But then victory wasn't all that great, because you see Tetsuya and his gang of cops, and he asks, hey, are you responsible for those cop cars, on fire? And of course, Baku is trying to explain himself that it wasn't him, but they couldn't listen because they were all beating him up, which causes him to wake up. So we go to the next scene where Baku wakes up, and he wonders why this dream is so different compared to the others, because usually he has control over his dreams. In this case, however, this is very different. And then it leads to his driver, and he is wondering what the hell happened last week. How did I get into the situation where my dream from last week was so real that it manifests this driver? Like, I thought this driver was out of the piece of his imagination, that sort of thing. And this is where he wants to pull a guy. For those who watch Guy, you guys understand my reference, especially when I forgot his name from the show, but after he gets his new driver, he tends to play with it a little bit. So I have this feeling that Baku's going to do the same thing, only he wants to know that if he can transform in the real world. And so what's weird about the scene is that you would assume that, okay, I want to transform in the privacy in my own room, right? But for some reason, he decides to try it out outside. So he goes to his closet and he's just trying to find some outfits and then to help hide his driver, that sort of thing. But I just find it strange as to why he decides to test it out outside and inside. That's just, And we go to the first episode of the bootleg X-Files with this next scene. Our beloved Lobo has become Scully. Yes, Lobo has become Scully. And Scully is, I think it's her first day on the job. And she is looking at the police station where she's going to work. But she doesn't enter. Instead, she just wanders around until she stumbles across this beat-down, run-down truck that says the Paranormal Affairs Division. You know what this means? Paranormal, X-Files, UFOs, that sort of thing. And Scully is like, oh, great. I think I've been demoted. Like, I'm a prodigy. I'm the youngest cop, and yet I'm reduced to, work in this division that's inside of a truck, which, we'll find out later. So she is disappointed, and she goes in the back of the truck, and lo and behold, there is the office of the paranormal stuff. You see Mulder, aka Tetsuya. So yes, he is bootleg Mulder. He's asleep. And you see that he's been working all night, and you see a picture of Baku. So it looks like to me he's looking for Baku, maybe for questioning. I don't know. And so Scully wakes up Mulder and be like, "Hey, I'm your new partner," that sort of thing. And Mulder's like, "Oh, okay, sit down." And then for a brief second, let's go. I find it to be funny. So Mulder is very suspicious in terms of what happened to Baku, because remember, last week he got ran over by a car, and he finds it strange that after 2 days he gets released from the hospital. So there's no way someone who got ran over by a car gets to heal up that quickly. It doesn't make any sense unless a nightmare has possessed his body. That's what he says. And he's very worried that Baku is out there causing chaos and destruction, aka, a black case has occurred. So they are on a hunt for Baku. And speaking of Baku, he leaves his apartment building, and he is all not so suspicious. And he just looks around and be all like cautious and scared, and just you see him hiding something. We all know what it is, but it's just, Baku, you're so like not suspicious whatsoever. And you see Mulder and Scully just in the bushes looking at the situation, and Mulder does this weird hiss, and I don't know what's the purpose behind that hiss, but it spooked Baku enough to just like really be like, I need to get out of here. And Scully's like, why are you hissing? Can you just approach the guy and question him? What's going on? And Mulder's just hiss at her, and it just wanted to be very funny. But I understand what Mulder is coming from, because he assumes that Baku is no longer Baku. It's just a monster in disguise. So that's why he's just like, just in hiding, just to be a spy, but he does a lousy job at it. And Mulder approaches Baku, and he tells Baku that I want to bring you in for questioning. But of course, Baku's like, why are you bringing me in for questioning? I haven't done anything wrong. I was the one who got ran over by a car, remember? And Mulder asks, what are you hiding? And this is where things get interesting, because you would assume that if I had a driver, I wouldn't tell anybody about it at all. Like, just to keep it, top secret. If I can transform into a superhero, no one should know, that sort of thing. Like, keep the secrecy, right? But instead, Baku tells Mulder and Scully that this came out from my dream, and he goes into full detail about what happened in his last dream. And then when it came to his current dream right now, this is where Mulder is like, wait a minute, you and I had the same dream? How is that even possible? And that's when we get to see a moment of bros just be like, oh my god, you had the same dream as I did? Yes, I did. Oh my god, kindred spirits. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. But Mulder, aside from that, I think he is happy to find somebody that survived the nightmare attack, and maybe there's a possibility that he could work with this guy, almost like a Batman, Commissioner Gordon type of way. Because let's face it, Baku doesn't know anything about these monsters yet, and this man, Mulder, knows exactly what he is facing right now. So he, as of right now, he's all he's got. So it makes sense to like, hey, this is what happened to me. I have this mysterious device that I took from my dream. Apparently you and I had the same dream. I don't know what this means. I don't know what's some nightmare. I don't know anything. While at the same time, as they were celebrating, you have Scully in the back be like, yeah, I can't believe I'm definitely being demoted here, because look what I'm looking at here. Like, it's insane. So Mulder and Scully takes our Baku into the back of the paranormal truck. And it's weird the way they entered, because I've noticed a couple of times that they either, come rolling in or they crawl in. Well, I think you're supposed to crawl in, but I saw Mulder just roll into the office, but okay. But in any case, they take Baku into the back of the truck, and this is where Baku gets a rundown about the black cases that Mulder has been working on and the nightmare creatures, and he explains that these monsters appear into people's dreams and gives them nightmares. As Mulder is telling Baku everything that he knows about them, you have Scully be like, I can't believe what I'm hearing here. I don't believe in this crap. And this is where Mulder gets a heart-to-heart moment with his partner and be like, hey, I have dreamt to become a cop, and I have a strong belief in our division in the paranormal and all that stuff. Even though you don't believe all the stuff that I'm telling you both, I believe in these things, because we all know that Mulder has encountered these creatures before and survived, either by personal experience or he has witnessed a loved one in the situation, and he's been, working on trying to stop these black cases from ever occurring. But I mean, kudos to him, right? But he doesn't have the powers of a Kamen Rider, and that's where Baku fits in this situation, where I believe Mulder sees this kid as his only hope in defeating these creatures. So that's why he's telling him everything. Scully's like, I don't believe you. Look, I'm happy that you have achieved your dream becoming a cop, and you have this strong belief that this division, this paranormal stuff is gonna succeed. I still don't believe in your crap, but you see Baku just like seeking it all, and he's drinking it all in. And speaking of Baku, we go to the next scene. Baku meets up with his sister Minami and tells everything. And Minami was like, wait a minute, the cops? Like, you got questioned by the cops? Like, what did you do? What's going on? And Baku's like, no, everything is fine. I'm not arrested or a suspect, nothing like that at all. It's just, I was just brought in for questioning about the incident. That's it. I'm not in trouble. And then it leads to the question of, hey sis, have you ever had the same dream as somebody else? And she practically said no, because it's impossible, because dreams are a manifestation of a person's subconsciousness. It's pretty much you're making your own world. It's nearly impossible for somebody else to have the same dream as you do. It's impossible. And then we have this funny ending where Baku steps on poop. Yes, because all that Baku did was help his little sister with, her purse. And he landed on poop. Poopies. Speaking of the poopies, it's nighttime, and Baku gets this weird phone call, and he doesn't know who is in the other line, but he is speaking in English, and we have a funny moment where Baku says, I'm sorry, I don't understand English. Like, I have an alter ego named Seven that understands English. I, Baku, do not understand English. And then the voice in the other line said, oh, okay, so let me have a take two then. And then he ends up speaking in Japanese, and he says, are you going to abandon your duties? And Baku gets all in shock, like, what the hell? What do you mean by that? And he touches himself. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm still awake. How is this even possible? And it leads him to his closet, because the person on the next line is telling him, go to your closet, find something, pull it down, and you will get your answer. So he does, and he gets transported into Narnia. Well, not really. He gets transported to his office, because remember in last week's show, his spy office is nothing more than his subconscious mind. But in this case here, his office is now real. And he looks around like, I can't believe it. Like, this is a spy office that I dreamt last week. And then when he turns around and in awe, he stares at this motorcycle, which all of a sudden it's an Autobot, because it went from a regular motorcycle into a robot. And his name is Zero. So Zero is now a motorcycle robot, and he is going to assist Baku on his missions from now on. And his first and an indefinite mission is that, Baku's mission is to infiltrate one's dream, and if there is a nightmare, you destroy it. That's pretty much what it is. So like I said, he's going to be an assistant to Baku, and then we see him go through a wall, and the wall opens up, and it's revealed to have it's a capsule machine. And Baku does something to the capsule machine, and he gets a new capsule ball. And Zero further explains the uses of these capsules. They bring out different abilities that can help Baku on his missions. And then Zero further explains what a nightmare does. So a nightmare gives a dreamer their ultimate nightmare. If they succeed, they lock the dreamer's soul away, and the monster possesses the body. And yeah, it's similar to Freddy Krueger. The only difference is Freddy doesn't go around and possess people's bodies. It happened once, but normally what Freddy does is kill people in their dreams, and if he kills them in their dreams, they die for real. And you see if you see Nightmare on Elm Street, you already know. But in this case here, the nightmare creatures, seal away the person's soul, and in the real world, they're in a coma until the monster possesses the body. So okay, that's interesting. And then we hear the alarms, and Zero said, "Oh, apparently a nightmare has invaded one's dream." And you see on the top of the screen or viewing globe, and I know it's not a globe, but Baku sees this bomber nightmare stealing the paranormal truck. So Baku knows automatically that, wait a minute, this monster has invaded Mulder's dream. And you see Mulder sleeping, so yeah. So Baku quickly goes to sleep. He gets into his Ancient 7 mode, and we have this funny scene where Zero is offering Baku to ride on his back, and for a brief moment it was funny, and Baku's like, wait a minute, you're not going anywhere, what's going on? Why am I on your back if you're not doing anything? And Zero apparently likes to troll. He likes to troll. So he ends up, sending Baku a real motorcycle. And this is where Baku invades, Mulder's dream. We have a moment of a high-speed chase with Baku and the nightmare. And then their speed chase led them to the police station. And Baku questions, like, why did the monster let me here? Like, what's going on? And we have a brief fight. And then he gets stopped by Nox, where he has an evil monologue to say. And he says right here that dreams are a reflection of a dreamer's subconsciousness. Dreams are a refuge of wishes left ungranted in the real world. When the mind's door is open, the nightmare will begin. And this is where, in this final scene, Baku realizes that, wait a minute, the person responsible for bringing this nightmare in is Mulder himself. And he wants to know why. And that's how the episode ends, guys. It's another good episode in terms of introductions. We learn more about dreams, nightmares, Zero, the eventual team up between Mulder and Scully. Because let's face it, guys, you might say that Baku showing his driver was a bad move, but I think now that it's the smartest move he made, because he doesn't know what these creatures are up to. Even though with Mulder and Zero's knowledge of them, he still doesn't know what to do. Sure, the first episode he got lucky, but the more he encounters these creatures, the more difficult it's going to be. And then Nox making his introduction, it's going to make his missions that much harder. And I believe that in one of his missions, he's going to fail, and we're going to see how a nightmare seals away one's soul and possess the body, which leads to the question of, can Baku transform into Zeztz in the real world? And the answer is, I believe so, because can you imagine if he does fail and the monster has succeeded on his mission? How is Baku gonna stop the possessed person from causing chaos and destruction without transforming into Zeztz? And I get this feeling that he will be able to transform in the real world. Even though in my personal opinion, I don't want him to transform in the real world. I want him to transform only in the dream space. But that's just me, because I treat Zeztz as Freddy. Zeztz and Freddy they are most powerful in the dream world, while in the real world it's the most weakest. But they're not gonna do that. So yeah, it's a dead giveaway that yes, he's gonna transform in the real world. Other than that, a great funny episode and knowledgeable episode is that. And yeah, I think that's it, guys. That's all I have. If you've seen episode 2, give me your thoughts and opinions about it. Did you like it? Did you dislike it? Did I miss anything? If I did, write in the comments below. I highly recommend Zeztz. After the first 2 episodes, it's a good start. So let's see if more episodes follow suit. And yeah, give a like if you like it, and please subscribe. And I will see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Johnny!